Welcome to another episode of the Nintendo Powercast. I'm your host, N64 Josh. Tonight, we're going to be talking about what makes Metroid so special. And I'm going to hear from chat, and it's going to be a good time. I am really looking forward to this, honestly. I've been playing a lot of Prime Remastered, obviously watching all of the trailers and sucking up everything I can that has to do with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. And I see Nate. Nate is here. What's funny? What's funny? Nate says, "Yeah, Metroid. How's Ninja Gaiden Ragebound? Made some progress this weekend. I'm currently on a boss right now, so I'm close to beating it. Close to beating it. So like stage, I don't know, 5 or 6 maybe, something like that. So I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Um, y- y- if you guys only catch these shows on YouTube tomorrow, I just have to finish the thumbnail, but Nady Nay's interview is going to be going up. It's already live on the podcast feeds. So, uh, if you can check it out there. But basically a new like somebody like new coming into the fold and having a little bit of a love-hate relationship with at least with Prime. At least with Prime. I I'd have a hard time believing somebody that really puts their time into Dread wouldn't love it. Wouldn't love it, so oh, I figured you were just, harassing me a bit, which is no problem at all. No problem at all. I don't mind. It's good for me. Yeah, I'm like, the only thing that's, honestly bothering me at the moment is that I just don't have more time to play Metroid. That's that's where I'm at. I'm having, like there's this strange thing that this series does. Once you start, like you start the game, you have everything, you lose everything, then you start slowly gaining it back, and then you're like, "Oh, I can get there now. Oh, I can do this. Oh, hang on, I've got the spider ball. I bet there's something great here, missiles." And Nate knows exactly what I'm talking about. But there's this sense of kind of feeling you slowly start to feel unstoppable, which is super, super fun, at least when it comes to exploring the levels. So, Nate said, "Almost too much to play. Age of Imprisonment is just, pick up and play a bit compared to these other titles." That's how I've been treating Age of Imprisonment, honestly. It has been pick it up, do, like, a couple side missions and a main story, and then go back to Metroid. And that's probably what I'm gonna continue to do if I don't if I don't complete them. Like, I don't plan on walking away entirely. I want to, I really wanna finish Age of Imprisonment. I'm enjoying it. It's just that Metroid got its claws in me in ways I wasn't expecting, and now 4 is just a couple days away. So, very, very exciting stuff. Advanced Reboot says, "Way too much to play." I mean, this week alone, it's a big week for Switch. Very, very much the case. So much to play. Assassin's Creed, Metroid, and I know there's more. I think there's some indies that are coming out, so Age of Imprisonment is one, in my opinion, is one of those games that if you power through it, you'll just hate it. Maybe it's just me. No, it's not just you. When I played like when I played like, mm, 4 or 5 hours straight, I was like, "I need a break. I need a break." It gets monotonous, unfortunately. Even with even with the different attacks and everything, it does get a little bit monotonous. So, I do wanna give a quick shout out. This footage is from VGC from their hands-on premiere, and so Just wanna make sure that they get credit. Obviously, their logo and stuff pops, I left that in intentionally. Advanced Reboot says, "Wait until MP4 this weekend. I'm not leaving the house." Yep. Yeah. That's it's gonna be, just I just wanna lock myself in my office, and I'll see you when it's over. You know what I mean? Like, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. We talked about it on the show this morning that they've held back a ton, and that has me more excited. I feel like a lot of the conversation around Dread was they shared a lot, and this time around, we don't really know that much. I don't know that we've seen far beyond the second level or too far beyond it. You wonder how long the story is gonna be. I do too. I think it's gonna be lengthy. Retro has had 8 years to cook, alright? They've had 8 years to cook. So, I think I think we're gonna be I think we're gonna be in for a massive, massive treat when it comes to this game. Even the older games were pretty lengthy depending on how, how much you explored and how you ended up doing things. That's what's kinda crazy, like, I'm playing Remastered. I haven't played it since it launched, and I guarantee you, I've gone to an area, gone as far as I thought I could, then I went somewhere else, and then decided, I guess I need to go back. Maybe I looking at the map, and I'm like, "Oh, I missed a door," and then, like, I finally get, like, the visor and, the what is it? To be able to the X-ray visor. Well, then I forget to turn it on in this section that, like, looks like the natural progression for where I'm heading, and that's where there's platforms that you can only see with that visor, So, but to me, that's part of the fun because it's like, well, if you don't think about using that, then you gotta go do some more exploring, and that's basically what happened to me. I got it. I think I got there, and I was like, "Well, I'm stuck for now," and then kept having to use that like the way the game design is where it's like, "Oh, I'm in another area, I need to turn this on. I'm in another area where I need to turn this on." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna head back there. Let's see." I think I ended up getting the, the red beam. I can't remember which one that is, like, I don't is it plasma? It might be, I can't remember. But and then realized those platforms were there all along. They were just invisible. So, is Metroid big on collectibles? If you consider missiles and energy, tanks collectibles to a certain extent, it's not, like, insane. It's not Koroks. I don't think they'll go that route. Advanced Reboot says, "I hope the open world isn't a wasteland?" I I mean, what we've seen there's, like, a giant, like, worm in that desert area, and we've seen, like, a snow area that's kind of wide open. I'm not, like I'm not super I'm not super worried about those areas. I don't think they're going to I think they're gonna, like, mix things up a bit with the gameplay. I'm also guessing, and from the preview event, like, I think it was IGN that might have pointed it out. I can't remember, but it looks like with your psychic abilities, there's probably going to be fast travel, which is in my opinion, badly needed. I don't mind if they do it like Dread, where it's like you can only fast travel, like, between areas. You can't just hit a button and then automatically teleport there. That's like I don't mind that. I think that's fine, but I think some form of fast travel is going to be a necessity. But yeah, I don't think the other thing that I hope a lot of people keep in mind, this is a Switch 1 game first. It is a Switch 1 game first. So we have to remember that, like, there may be areas that look a little rough. And that's I mean, if you play like I'm playing, remastered right now, almost everything looks incredible. Like, incredible. But there's these, like, worm lava dragon things that come out, they look bad. The polygons, they almost look like they're from the N64. Most enemies in this game look in remastered look okay, but those ones in particular to me just do not look good. They look like they're the smallest polygon count imaginable, and so, like but it's over 20 years old. So, like, I get it. Outside of a few things, you forget that you're playing a game that's that old. Nate said it took him 35 hours to get through. And so I don't think like I hope this is more than a 12-hour experience. I really do. Here's a question for you guys. Do you think we get DLC? Do you think they mentioned DLC at the Game Awards? Do you think there's gonna be DLC? Do you think this is gonna be a one and done? I'm very curious on what's gonna happen uh with that. Okay. Nate says, I think Prime 4 is just standalone. No Game Awards, but next June there will be. Okay. That's from Advanced Reboots. You want Keely to remain Nintendo starved. Oh my goodness, that's funny. Well, okay, maybe not Game Awards. But I do wonder. So if you guys know a little bit of the backstory with Metroid. If you go to the DS, Metroid Prime Hunters, there are there's a group of bounty hunters. Silux is one of those bounty hunters. I believe Silux, spoiler for Federation Force, okay. I doubt anybody's going to be playing it, but I believe he is shown at the end freeing a Metroid, and then we see him with Metroids in the very first trailer for this game for Prime 4. So there's a very real possibility that he's not the only hunter we're dealing with. And two, if he is the only hunter that we're dealing with in the main game, there's DLC options with more hunters. Advanced Reboot says, I think they will add in one expansion, and that's maybe another couple amiibo. That's the amiibo already costs more than the game. So, we got that we got that there. Cryptic is here. What's going on, baby? So I kind of want to just touch on what makes this series so special, right? We've just been talking about it. But what makes it so special for me? And I want to hear from you guys as well. But the first game didn't pull me in. It didn't it was difficult. And being younger when it came out, I think I was 5 when the first Metroid came out. And it was a different experience than Super Mario Brothers. Mario Brothers was stomp on Goombas, get to Bowser, hit him with fireballs uh or hit the axe, jump over him, get underneath him, whatever. Metroid was confusing and it didn't grab me. Fast forward to Metroid 2. Now I never owned a Game Boy, but somehow, I don't remember this detail, I borrowed somebody's Game Boy and their copy of Samus Returns. And I made it to one Metroid left. Mind you, I had to like I had to like sneak to be able to play this thing for longer than 45 minutes a day because that was my gaming limit. And so like I'm probably in a closet with like a flashlight in my mouth trying to get more time with with the game. But I got till there was one left and didn't beat it. And it like I remember trying in the car, like getting any light I could as we were heading to whatever destination we were going to, and I had to return everything. And it was such a bummer. And this is one of those things I feel like I had the perfect Game Boy living room with the way the chairs and the lamps were set up. You could just sit so comfortably with the fireplace and the Game Boy with the light of the lamp that it's not like any other time in gaming. I don't know how else to explain it. It was like using tech that was a glorified calculator, but I still like to this day love holding a Game Boy, the old school Game Boy, listening to the sound of it turning on, like all of it, all of it. It is such a nostalgic piece of hardware, and Metroid was a big part of that. And it's not one that I talk about all that much. And it wasn't until this year that I completed Metroid 2, but on the 3DS, and it's fantastic. It's super, super good. And once I finish Prime Remastered, that will be my 3rd Metroid game I've beat this year. This year. So, I love this series, to say the least. And, so what makes it special? Well, Metroid pioneered nonlinear exploration. The original Metroid on the NES was one of Nintendo's first games built around exploration, backtracking, and hidden upgrades that open new areas. And I think the backtracking can sometimes be a bit of a deterrent. But what I'm finding with Prime is I'm learning as I like Prime Remastered, as I'm learning to memorize all the locations and everything, it doesn't become quite as as annoying. I remember I didn't I it was always, it wasn't something I was a huge fan of. At the same time, the way they would, like, dangle that carrot on a stick where it's like, there's something up there, but you can't quite get it yet. That always made it, uh, just made it fun for me and kept me going. So I wanna jump into the chat a little bit here. Um Advanced Reboot said, "Honestly, I was never a big Metroid fan until Samus Returns." Well, and for me, after Samus Returns, Super Metroid, it was game over. Lifetime fan of the series at that point. Like, absolutely adore Super Metroid. So, so good. So, so good. And I was thinking about Super Metroid, and we'll camp on this for a little bit. Like, that is the game that solidified me as a lifelong fan of the series. And there's so many different elements to it. Like what makes that game so special? What about it makes about Metro Super Metroid in particular just so special? Do you guys remember if you've played it as you're making your way through these through this world, all of a sudden there's like a space marine that's deceased. And to this day, I always wondered what was he doing there? I'll do a little bit of research and see if there's some lore out there. I'll make a short about it. But I always wondered who was this who was this space marine? This lone was it another bounty hunter? And it's been a question that's always been on my mind, and I always would notice and just wonder every time I saw that guy. And it's just those tiny little details that like it's not even that it's probably a set piece. You know, it's not even that big a deal. But you have to remember at that time, you didn't really see dead bodies in games. Like it just wasn't like it wasn't really a thing. Like you saw monsters and they'd get chopped up and with Link and his little 16-bit sprite sword, But like here's this like this just his body. And you're like, how'd he get here? What's his story? And that kind of stuff. I played the game further because I'm like, am I gonna learn more about this guy? And I don't believe we do. I'd have to go back and like I said, I'm going to look into it. So, Advanced Reboot says, I think what made Super Metroid special is because it's one of the first truly cinematic intros in gaming. That is 100% correct. What I loved, because I didn't beat the last Metroid in Metroid Samus Returns, I got to see the end of that game when you fire up the beginning of Super Metroid, and I was like, God, I got to experience it. And what you have to remember, and it's still a thing to this day, like getting through the to the end of the game so that you can see the final cutscene and how the story all concludes. But that was a massive reason to complete games. That was one of the biggest reasons for me. I don't know about everybody else, but one of the biggest reasons for me was uh was the cutscene at the end. And then getting to see the end of 2 at the beginning of 3 was great. Was great. Let's see here. Not one of the first cinema well, for sure, like, you go back to Ninja Gaiden on the NES, but maybe not one of the first, but very well done. Like, very, very well done. And just the fact that it was a cinematic, intro was without w you had text on screen. There was no talking, though, you know? It also nailed, atmosphere, exploration, and design 1,000%. There was there was something special, especially in Super Metroid, where you could, you'd start to see those tiles that you're like, "Wait a minute, if I, like, super jump or shoulder charge," and that was like that was something that was incredible. Shoulder charging with Samus for the first time and watching the character just fly through walls or jump straight up, like, that was it was so great. Like, so great. Cryptic says, "What makes Metroid fun for me is the music, the way it can tell a story without using words. The character design, the power-ups that make you feel stronger as you go along." Yeah. Yeah, I have been using my, um, my high-end headphones when I'm playing Prime Remastered, and it is so good. Like, just so good. And if whether I'm playing in here on a monitor or going out to the TV in the living room, and my headphones are on, I am fully immersed, and there's been a few times like I'll have the lights off, and some of the space pirates will jump out and like almost give me a little jump scare, like not a not a legit jump scare, but just like, "Oh, I gotta like, they're here," kinda thing. And just the way the music changes and moves between levels, the way it sounds when you're in the elevator after you scan. James, what's going on? Welcome on in. Um, let's see. Cryptic says also, if you think dead bodies of Marines in Super are interesting, play the intro of a Metroid Prime 2. It starts off very dark. I have, I just don't remember it. Don't remember it. James says 2 days to go. Yes, exactly. 2 days to go indeed. Indeed. And so I think part of the hype levels for 4 come from what we've experienced in the past games. The different moves that we saw in Super Metroid and Metroid Prime and Dread, like I'm hoping we not only see a handful of these things incorporated into this game, but also what kind of new. I hope there's new weapons, moves, whatever, more than what we've seen from the psychic abilities, but that they kind of take it to another level. Also, if you think about like the grapple with the psychic ability, it's not like you're swinging. It's more like a Spider-Man, like shoot the anchor point and then just pull up to it and then she hangs on the wall. So, you think Metroid Prime 2 intro is indeed amazing? I love that. I need to go back and check it out, honestly. It's just been too long. Nate says, I think the actual game design is something special in itself. The way it can drive you to insanity and how it all works out. Yeah. I was just in an area where I had to use the grapple to swing, right? And this thing is moving, this platform. And like I tried like 2 or 3 times to go the long way to see if I could. Doesn't work. You gotta just there's some extra, like they look like mushrooms, platforms. If you head over there first, it gives you a shorter distance. And sometimes you can't cut any of those corners. So Cryptic says, I also love in Super Metroid very early on how you experience the ending of Metroid 1 again and see the aftermath. Yes. Yeah. They they do such a great job with that game, like tying the first 2 games together. It's honestly fantastic. Like I part of me wants to just sit and no life as many Metroid games as possible following Prime 4. I'm gonna have to bust out the Wii and the Wii remotes to play 2 and 3 on my trilogy, I think. I really just do not love those controls, that's for sure. But I wanna hear from you guys, like, what are some of the things that make this series so special for you? Even if you came in late, and do you guys think that this and I will say the success of Dread, I think it was a successful game, being the best-selling Metroid. Do you think the success of Dread will help the sales of Prime 4? I'm of the mind that I think Prime 4 could potentially outsell Dread. It's on 2 systems. You've got you've got an audience with a brand new system that wants new games. You've got a long time fan base that maybe hasn't upgraded yet. We know 15% of the Switch 2 install base, brand new to the Switch family of systems. And so I I I I think it's gonna do well. If the story gets the community talking, if there are moments that like I don't know how I don't know how we would how to explain this exactly, but like you guys remember the Breath of the Wild, like the way it took over social media? But there was an element to Breath of the Wild where you could rewind and use bombs and do all these different things to like come up with some of the best clips ever. I wonder if there's gonna be a possibility for killer clips from Prime. My hope is that the further we progress in the game, the move sets change, the way she can hopefully there's a bit more physicality to her where she can melee and stuff like I've talked about. Like I'm hopeful that it's the kind of game where some clips are going out here and there and it's getting people pumped and people are talking about it. And I think they leave the opportunity for it because they've shared so little, like we talked about this morning. So, uh, Cryptic says, I will say what makes Metroid Prime special is how each entry delves deeper um, of the bigger world of Metroid, and that Samus does have a headquarters she reports to, etc. Love that. Yeah, super, super cool. Cryptic says, and how she isn't the only bounty hunter, but she is a legend in the bounty hunter mythology. Right? Like she's basically Mando at this point, right? Or Boba Fett? Is that right? Nate says, "I'm all gameplay, baby. Just give me good gameplay. Story can go somewhere to the side." Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you, but I want to see them meshed, right? I want to see. I'm here for the story with this particular game, but I do want to see some just insane gameplay. Like I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys have played some of the PlayStation games, right? Last of Us and the new God of War, and gameplay's kind of the back seat, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's kind of it's it's more about that cinematic experience. From my understanding, Retro Studios brought in people who worked on God of War, Halo, Battlefield, Tomb Raider, and I think we're going to see evidence. I think we already see evidence of that all over the place. And if this game leans more cinematic than gameplay, I'll be okay with it. I'll be okay with it because I, outside of like Xenoblade, is there another series that Nintendo does that is very cinematic or very story driven? I mean, don't get me wrong, there's story to Breath of the Wild and the Zelda games, but I still feel like those are very much gameplay first. More cinematic, but some gameplay at times. Gotcha. Yeah, that's I mean, that's what Horizon and stuff as well. And I'm not saying there's anything that I'm not saying that as a negative. I feel like there's room uh for like what if Metroid Prime 4 is in the conversation with The Last of Us, with with Horizon. Is that I know Nate's going to say that's a negative for sure. Yeah. But I do think I mean there's something to those games, right? Like they are special, albeit like walking sims or more cinematic, but they do have their place. Cryptic says, I always want a Metroid to become a Mass Effect in its cinematic storytelling. Retro isn't quite there yet. Interesting. Samus would definitely have to talk at that point. But yeah, I mean, BioWare, they've done some amazing things. Mass Effect 1 and 2 even 3, they're yeah, that's an incredible series. Just amazing. And I trust Retro. They've had 8 years to cook, like I said at the beginning. I I'm not worried. I'm not worried. And Nintendo trusts Retro. If you guys saw my video today, my short, Today in Nintendo History, Mario Kart 7 released in Japan. That was co-developed, I believe, with EAD and Retro. Retro co-developed Mario Kart 7. So they're very much trusted by Nintendo. They were given 8 years to make this game, and I I think they're gonna I think they're gonna prove just how good they are. That's really where I'm at. That's where my hype levels are at. But yeah, like Cryptic said, I did go hands-on with the demo. I agree more, Josh, that Retro can cook. Without the demo, I was 50-50. Yeah, I believe it. I haven't had a chance to play yet. I've just been I've been playing again, remastered over again, and then just watching everything I can about Prime 4, and I'm like, "No, this is." You can just see how smooth it is. There were elements to it that I said early on that I'm like, you watch that opening sequence and like that pipe kinda rolls in, and then there's just a space pirate laying there, and it's kind of a, a goofy video game trope or whatever, but everything else we're seeing just looks like they're kinda taking things to the next level. I love that opening intro. Watching her fly in and do some, like, dogfighting maneuvers, watching all the Marines, like, get stoked that Samus is there, like, uh, I'm I'm I get hyped for that kinda stuff. That's the cinematic stuff that, like, just scratches my brain, and I'm like, "Here we go. Here we go. Let's see these mechs walk around and do some cool stuff," right? 'Cause I do enjoy certain escort missions, if you will, in games where, like, you're getting somewhere to getting somebody to a location so they can open up a gate for you, or they can knock down a wall for you, or whatever the case may be. So, I like that's probably part of the reason I'm not super worried about Miles. Um, let's see. Did Maury, I believe? Does too many people just look at edited YouTube videos and wonder why they aren't immersed and why the game is instantly ruined by Miles? Yeah, and I mean, when you've got big outlets voicing that, and those big outlets are they are the voice for a lot of people. Like a lot of people resonate with what Logan said about Miles, and but I don't feel like anybody listened to him after that point, because he said multiple times that everything about Prime 4 was Metroid besides Miles. And so that's what, like, and I don't mind Miles. I don't. I don't think he's gonna be there the whole time. Nate says, "We will see if Retro can cook. We need to see if they can just add more seasoning." There we go. I like that. Nate also says, "I think the only thing that would upset me a little is that if it's way too similar to Prime 1. I know psychic powers and all that are added, but we will see." I think it's a legitimate fear. And I honestly think part of that may come from what we have seen. Some of the bosses look a little bit similar, but I think we've just seen so little that I'm not worried. I'm not worried. I had similar thoughts too. I'm like, "Oh, is this gonna be," but I don't think it's gonna be the case. There are certain shots of, like, stuff coming. You've got monsters in Prime 1 that come out of the ground, and they're just not threatening. They're just like the little, like, bugs or whatever. Rewatch the overview trailer for Prime 4, and it's like, yo, there's some terrifying creatures here, which I cannot wait to encounter. Cryptic says, "I went back and played some Prime 3, and you see the start of where Prime 4 was going as far as voice acting. It's similar, but enhanced, in my opinion." Okay. I think when you go long between releases, you forget how good a studio is. Well, and I mean, they've put out some great games, Mario Kart 7, Donkey Kong Country, Tropical Freeze. It's not like we haven't heard from them. They've put out some great stuff. It's just not Metroid. So it's not like what we expect or even what we may want because we want more Metroid. So, well, I think that's gonna do it for me tonight, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. We do these every night around 9 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow morning's Nintendo News Daily is going to be about a half hour early because I'm dealing with like snow days and school delays and stuff like that. So just bear with me on that one. But I appreciate you all so very much. And as always, play it loud.